Hello and welcome to today's tutorial on Nano Banana, and in this one I'm going to show you everything that you need to know to be a top 1% creative in the industry right now. Recently there has been a massive shift in the AI world with this new introduction of Nano Banana, which is Google's new AI image model. And what's even crazier is the application of this tool. Now we've seen it being implemented into tools like FreePic where you can get access to it, or maybe Higgsfield for example, but I actually want to show you how you can implement it inside of Photoshop. Why? Well, the degree of control that you have with this is incredible. You can make exact selections around areas in your photo and change every specific pixel inside of that selection. Let me show you an example. So here we are inside of Photoshop. Now you can see here I've got two images. I've got this photo here, which I generated in Midjourney of this sofa, and I've got this texture here. And I want to replace the texture on this sofa with this design right here. Now just imagine how long that would take you to do manually. Well, with Nano Banana and Photoshop, we can now adjust this sofa and leave everything else to be exactly the same, but just make changes to replace it to be the exact same as this right here. Let's have a look at some other practical use cases. So here's one where I wanted to add a snake that's coiling around this building right here. You can simply paint and draw this on using Photoshop, which I did using the brush tool. You'll see here that you can simply use the brush tool where if I just take an example of this color, you can draw around like so. And with a simple drawing, we can actually make this a realistic image. So using Nano Banana, I can adjust this with a simple flick of a switch and turn that into a photorealistic version. And you can see here, it doesn't affect anything else in the image. It only adjusts the sketch that we made. Now this has crazy application that we can use this for. So let me show you another one. Here is a sketch design that I found on the internet, and we can adjust this with a reference photo of the monster logo. We can actually design our own custom helmets, for example, and create 3D renders with exact logo placement as well. You can see that before and after here. Here is another example. Let's say we wanted to adjust text on, bottles, for example. Well, I can adjust that to be my name in the exact same style and not change anything else about our photo. All we have to do is make a simple selection around the area that we want to change. So I'll show you here. We can make a simple selection around here, like so. And with this plugin, we can actually adjust the text to be whatever we want in the same style. Here's another example where I took this model that I created in Midjourney and I wanted to give her makeup, right? And you can see that we adjusted that and applied makeup and gave her a nice glossy look. Now what about this one? I collected all of these images together and I wanted to design a user interface / homepage with all of these images that I downloaded from the Vans website. I wanted to create a mock-up of a homepage, so I simply used those images and was able to create an exact replica with those photos, and you can see it's added in text flawlessly, it's even given pricing as an example, and it's even added the logo and their catchphrase off the wall, right, onto that. There's no reference of that in any of these photos, but it's gone away and it's found exactly what it needs to do. Here's another example where it's added in a logo, it's created a user interface, and you can create as many different examples of this as you like. So right here, we actually have a manual that is going to teach you exactly how you can install this plugin for yourself. And I will leave a link to this as well right underneath this video, and it will be the second link, so you can go ahead and go and install this directly into Photoshop. So this plugin is called Nano Banana and Flux Context. And this is a plugin that you can install directly into Photoshop because Photoshop do not have this integrated into their tool right now. As of right now, you can only use Adobe Photoshop's generative fill method, which is not that good. It doesn't have a very good training data set, and you can't have as much flexibility and freedom as if you use Nano Banana. So I'm going to show you how to install it. Step one is to go to Replicate. Now, Replicate is what we call an API platform. So the way that it works is, let's say we wanted to use Nano Banana on Photoshop, we need to connect it using an API because Photoshop doesn't offer it natively on their platform. So in order to do that, we have to connect those dots together, and that connection is called an API. Now, tools like FreePick, for example, use APIs, and they have loads of different APIs that they connect onto their website, so you can use some of your favorite tools like Google VO3 or Nano Banana directly on their website. What we're doing right now is allowing you to run this inside of Photoshop using an API. So, to get started, go to Replicate, and you can see that the URL is already inside of this manual for you, and you can click Sign In. Once you've signed in, you have to connect something called a GitHub account. If you haven't made a GitHub account, you can also just click Sign In with GitHub, then you can create your own account, and don't worry, it's not too complicated. Once you've got those accounts kind of put together, I like to sign in with a Google account. To me, that's the most effective way to do it. So you can sign in with a Google account and it will create a GitHub account for you. And you can see here it says log in or create an account on GitHub. Next step, after signing in, you then want to go down to the account settings on Replicate. So you can simply click on your profile up here. There is like a little option here that you can click, and you then want to go to account settings. Now in here, there'll be an option to add credit, where you can either add $10 would be what I would suggest. And it says here as well, you can add in $10 of your own money, and you can do that by clicking on the add credit button here. And you can simply use any payment method that you'd like. You do not want to add the auto reload feature because that will just boost your credits and continue to add credits as and when, but just simply add in $10 to your account. Why do we need to do that? Well, the reason how this works is because each generation that you use for Flux Context or Nano Banana costs you 4p. Now, this is slightly cheaper than it would cost you to use on other websites like FreePick, for example. So you're actually making a much more cost-effective method as well for you to go ahead and use this tool. So now once you've added in $10, there's a few different options that you can pick from. I actually added in 50, but you can go ahead and add in $10 just to test it out and get started. You can see here it says disable the auto reload option. There is a option here as you go through the payment process to add in the auto reload. You can leave that unchecked and just hit save. Now, next step, you want to go to the API tokens here. Now, it says here on the left-hand side, API tokens, and you then want to write in your own custom token. So you can see here on mine, I can write in something like Nano Banana, like so, and hit create token. Now, let's say this is my Nano Banana token right here. You can simply click on the copy to clipboard button. Once you have that copied to your clipboard, you're all pretty much good to go. The next step is installing the plugin inside of Photoshop to connect these two things together. So the third link underneath here is going to be somewhere where you can go ahead and buy this plugin. I believe right now it is currently on sale for $9, where you can go ahead and get access to it. But I've also been in contact with the creator of the plugin, and he's going to be giving away a couple of free versions inside the community as well. So if you are early to this tutorial, you might get access to some of the free ones. But if not, you can go ahead and purchase this plugin for $9. Trust me, I know that there's a couple of fees here. We've got the $10, the $9, but it is going to be worth it. This is how you become a top 1% of creatives. You need to invest in these tools in order to get the most high quality results. Unfortunately, things aren't free these days. You do have to pay for the top level tools, and this is just one of those examples. So next step, that third link, you want to go ahead and click that and install the plugin directly onto your computer. Once you've got the plugin in your downloads folder, if you're using Mac, you need to copy this and you need to go directly to that file location, or you can simply just go into your Finder, okay, head into Applications, go to Photoshop, then you want to go to Presets, and then you want to head into Scripts, like so. Now you can see I've got my script, my Nano Banana Flux Context script. You want to go ahead and drag and drop that script that you've downloaded inside of this file right here. Once that's inside of your scripts file, you want to close Photoshop and then restart and then open it up again. You don't have to restart your whole computer, you just have to restart Photoshop, so make sure you fully close it and relaunch Photoshop. Now, once you've relaunched Photoshop, you'll be able to find this exact plugin under the File option at the top of the page. So head to the File at the top, head down to Scripts now near the bottom. So go down to Scripts, and then head over to down here, where it says Nano Banana Flux Context. If you have successfully installed this, you'll be able to see this plugin down here. Now, when you click on this, it will come up with an error that says make a selection first using any selection tool. So we now need to use one of the 3 selection tools that we covered at the start of this tutorial. So I'm going to use the selection brush tool. Now I can simply draw around the sofa like so. Boom. Now we can go back into File, Scripts, and go back to our Nano Banana Flux Context script. Click on that, and you'll see if you've done everything successfully, you should now be greeted with this exact page here. Now with this page, you need to paste in that API key that we made on Replicate directly inside here. So make sure you go back to Replicate, copy your token, and then paste it inside here. Okay, now this is very important. Then you want to hit Update. Now once you've done that, it will say API key updated successfully. You can hit OK, and now you successfully have this tool installed on your computer, and you can now create literally anything with a matter of clicks and a text prompt. Let me blow your mind. So, to get started into the nitty-gritty, now we can go ahead and write in a prompt. So let's say we wanted to replace the fabric on this sofa to be a different fabric to the one that we showed you at the start of this tutorial. We can go ahead and upload a reference photo. So under reference here, we can click on browse, and then we can find a different reference photo. So I'm going to use this texture right here. So I can double click on that, and now you can see the file name has been added right next to our reference here. And we can now write in a prompt saying replace the texture on the sofa to be the abstract pattern in the reference. And we can simply hit generate. As well as that, you can go ahead and click generate right now. But I just want to show you too that you also, under the model option up here, we have Nano Banana in Gemini, but you've also got Flux Context. Now, when would we want to use Flux Context over Nano Banana? Now, we've found that Flux Context works much better with text. So if you're editing text inside of Photoshop, you want to make a selection around it, you can select the text, and then you want to make sure you're using Flux Context Max, and then you can make your change. But I like to use Nano Banana for literally everything else. So I can hit generate. Now you'll see that we get this new little window that pops up here. It says generating with Nano Banana. Encoding image usually takes 10 to 30 seconds. It's actually usually much quicker. So you can see here, it's now adjusted this fabric in our image. Now this isn't the exact fabric that we actually uploaded, so maybe I need to go in and adjust my prompt. Maybe if we go ahead and press Command Z to undo what we just did, we can go ahead and go back to File, Scripts, and we can now go to Nano Banana again. So I'm going to upload a reference photo of the fabric, like so. I'm going to say replace the fabric on the sofa. Let's keep it vague. And let's see what happens. Now you can see it has completely adjusted the fabric on this sofa to be the exact fabric that we uploaded. So with a minor tweak of the prompt, we've actually improved our output here. So you can see all it takes is sometimes if you're not getting the right result, you can just adjust your prompt and it will give you the exact results that you're looking for. Now let's say we wanted to get really specific with this and we didn't want to change the cushions, for example. We only wanted to change the sofa. Well, I can now press Command Z if I'm using Mac, or Alt Z on the keyboard, and that will undo the action that we just did. So I can press Command Z again, and we've now unselected everything. Now I can use this specific selection tool. So I can simply click on the sofa, and you can see that I've now selected everything about this sofa except for the cushions. We have got the wooden part of the sofa selected as well though. So if I wanted to remove that selection, I could simply hold Option on the keyboard and I can draw around the wood like so. Okay. And you can now see it has removed that part of the selection for us, meaning we've only selected the actual fabric of the sofa. So now we've got this super accurate selection, we can now go to File, Scripts, Nano Banana, and then we can upload that reference photo again of the fabric in here. and just say replace the fabric on the sofa. Keep it nice and generic again, and let's see what we get. There we go. Take a look at that, ladies and gentlemen. We have now adjusted literally just that part of our image. So take a look at that, before and after. This is next level control. This is unbelievable. So we can literally get as customized, customization in this as we want. If I wanted to add a photo of the Mona Lisa on the wall here, I could make a selection, right, around this area here. Let's say we take this one. We can now go to File, Scripts, Nano Banana, and we can upload this as a reference photo in here. And we can say add the Mona Lisa inside a wooden frame on the wall. And it will add that exact photo nicely into that area for us. So when you're using other tools like FreePic, for example, you don't get this level of control. You don't get to decide where it gets added into the scene for you. Okay, so you can see here, it has added in like all of this extra space around it, which we didn't want. So what if we used the rectangular selection tool and we just did like a more of a specific selection? So let's do something like that. Okay, so now with this selection, let's try it again. This is all trial and error, by the way. So sometimes you won't get the exact result that you're looking for, but maybe you need to adjust the selection that you've made, or maybe you need to adjust your prompt. So add a painting of the Mona Lisa hanging on the wall. But as I was saying, you actually don't get as much customization, flexibility, and freedom as to where you input certain things into your photos with tools like FreePic. So we can see here, it's kind of like adding in like a weird background that we don't want. Now, if you are experienced in Photoshop, then you probably already know that you can actually just like kind of remove the areas that you don't want using layer masks. This is more of an advanced probably workflow, so I'm just going to do this quickly just to show you. So there you have it. Now using the layer mask, I have now kind of added that onto the wall there, but you kind of get where I'm coming from. I want to do a different example so we can see specifically like how specialized we can get. Maybe before we move on, I'm going to make a quick selection using the object selection tool, and we can go ahead and click on the layer here, which has our original photo on it. And I want to change this lampshade here. So I can draw a selection around the lampshade. Now let's say I wanted to adjust this fabric and design of the lampshade. We can go to File, Scripts, and we can go to Nano Banana. And then let's go ahead and upload a different fabric style. So we can go with this one here, for example. I can upload that in here, replace the design and pattern of the lampshade, and hit generate. Okay, and there you have it. So you can see that you can make all of these tweaks yourself. It's very, very cool. There's loads of customization and flexibility in here that you can do to get really, really niched down. Now, where do I see this actually being useful in a practical use sense? My God, quite literally everything. But to get specific, I would say clothing, right? Let's say we wanted to create a mood board out of clothing. Let me show you this really cool example. So here is a Midjourney image that I have now got inside Photoshop here that you can see. And now let's say I actually wanted to extract all of the clothing that this lady is wearing and put it onto a separate document so we can kind of see it visually mapped out. Take a look at this. So we can use this to go to File. First of all, let's make a selection of our entire canvas here. And we can now go to File, Scripts, Nano Banana. Now we can say separate all of the clothing that the female is wearing and place it on a white background. Then there's a couple of different options that we can do here. We can select output to a new document. Now what this is going to do, if we hit generate, is it's actually going to create an entirely new Photoshop file for us. So it's not going to be using this exact file that we've got here. It's going to create a brand new one, and it's going to open that up and create a new image. And it's going to take all of these pieces of clothing and it's going to separate them and put it onto an actual mood board for us. So we can then go ahead and start, playing around with it. But you can see here, we've got the chain that has the bee on it. So we're going to go ahead and check all of this. Let's have a look. It is a chain with a bee on it. So you can see here, it's gone and it's extracted everything. It's taken the shoes and it's extracted that with extremely high detail. So if we have a look, 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of imprints here on the shoe. If we go ahead and have a look, 1, 2, 3, 4, I would say it's probably maybe slightly off, but it's pretty damn close. So it's still insanely impressive, right? So we can now extract things and put it on a separate document. You could then make a selection of this and be like, upload a reference photo of a specific model. So I could upload a photo of myself, for example. So let's do that right now. I can then go to File, Scripts, and then I can go to Nano Banana. I can upload an image of my face, which I have saved as Rourke face. So I can upload an image of my face. I can say, man wearing these clothes in an urban environment, leaning against a, let's say like a caged skate park. I don't know. I'm trying to think of Vans branding here. It's going to put me in female shorts, which might look a bit bizarre, but we'll see how it goes. Man, that's actually pretty awesome. So there is me wearing my Vans hat with the necklace on, the same clothing. It has given me male shorts, so it's kind of adjusted it to match the scene and setting with the shoes and socks on. So that's pretty cool, right? Like we've gone from this to this, where we've got the same clothes on, same jewelry, same design, and that's an image of me, which looks pretty cool. So that's another pretty cool application and use case. So here is another really exciting use case that you can also use. So check this out. With this, you can actually change the color of things as well. So let's say we wanted to adjust the color of this glass and also adjust the lighting in this reflection that we're getting as well, because that would make it realistic. So if we make a selection around the glass like so, and we also make a selection around the shadow and the reflection, we've now got all of that selected. We can actually now go ahead and change the color of the foreground. So we can go ahead and pick here and we can change this to be, maybe like a maroon, for example. And you can see that now we've adjusted the color of the foreground here to be maroon. If we go to File, Scripts, load up the Nano Banana plugin, we can now select Use Foreground Color and say change the color of the glass and reflection and hit generate. So you can see that we've actually adjusted the color of this image. Here is before and after, and we've even adjusted the specific lighting on the table as well to match. Now, in order to get the same results, this is what I actually found is the best way to do it, is let's say we delete this layer. What you want to use is the object selection tool, make a selection of the glass, and then you want to use a mixture of the brush tool and specifically just paint over the areas where the lighting needs to be affected, like so. So once you have this selected, right, that's perfect. You can now go to File, and you can go into Scripts, but make sure that foreground color, before you do that, is the exact color that you want to use. So let's say we do like a kind of bluey green. We can go into File, Scripts, and then we can go to Nano Banana. We can say replace the color of the glass seamlessly. Important to use the word seamlessly, and replace the lighting that is reflected onto the table to match the color of the glass. Then we want to check the Use Foreground Color option. Now it's going to take this exact hex code, this exact color, and actually apply that to our image. So you can see as a designer how helpful this is when it comes to replacing coloring and color swatches as well. This is seriously helpful for major corporations. boom. We've now changed the lighting and coloring in this scene. So that's another pretty cool use case as well. There's tons of flexibility and freedom here. And the last one that I want to show you is exactly how you can draw things into your scene, and then you can literally turn it into anything that you can possibly dream of. So let's find like an actual application that we can use this for. So that's all we have time for on YouTube, but if you want to go and watch the rest of this, then you can click the first link in the YouTube description. GenHQ is the world's largest creative AI education platform where we share educational content on all of the best creative AI tools. We also have interviews with some of the top 1% of AI creatives from all around the world.